Good principles are effective ways of dealing with reality. To learn my own, I spend a lot of time reflecting. So rather than just giving you my principles, I will share the reflections behind them. I believe that everything that happens comes about because of cause and effect relationships that repeat and evolve over time. Good morning, everybody. We'll just adjust the camera a little bit. We'll get the book ready because we are going to be doing some reading. Principles, Ray Dalio, a really, really wonderful book that we have already read quite a bit of, which has been really good. Today is Monday, the first day of the week, so I'm really looking forward to some really amazing new things that we are going to be doing. I have set my goals. I have planned out the whole week. And we're going to start, though, with some reading because that is a really great way to start the week, to get some motivation, to get some ideas, to get some things to implement, perhaps. Perhaps it's going to give you some questions, and I'll tell you how you can then ask me those questions at the end, and we'll create YouTube videos around those questions that you have and put them up on YouTube. But let's start by just getting into the reading. We are in the next section of the book, which is the principles of, I think it was work that we have made it to. Let's double check because we just had the principles of a life and now we are up to the principles of a work. Good principles are effective ways of dealing with reality. To learn my own, I spend a lot of time reflecting. So rather than just giving you my principles, I will share the reflections behind them. I believe that everything that happens comes about because of cause and effect relationships that repeat and evolve over time. At the Big Bang, all the laws and forces of the universe were created and propelled forward, interacting with each other over time like a complex series of machines that work together. The structure of galaxies, the makeup of Earth's geography and ecosystems, our economies and markets, and each one of us. Individually, we are machines made up of different machines. Our circulatory systems, our nervous systems, and so on, that produce our thoughts, our dreams, our emotions, and every other aspect of our distinct personalities. All these machines are evolving together to produce the reality we encounter every day. Look to the patterns of those things that affect you in order to understand the cause-effect relationships that drive them, and to learn principles for dealing with them effectively. It's actually interesting because on the weekend, I went to a spot which was on the coast, and it's where the ocean meets a bay, a bit of a harbor kind of bay. And I was walking along the rocks, and we sat there and we were admiring. And the cave had nice, beautiful colors. There was some red and some whites, and they were all mixed up, and it was really, really beautiful. And so as I was sitting there, I was looking at the waves crashing on the rocks, and they were very violent waves. And you'll notice it because I love going to the ocean, and I noticed that all the rocks, even though like the waves make a similar pattern, and even though there are certain patterns in there, there is always different things as well. So your rocks always look different. So the waves are going to be different based on the wind, and the wind is going to be different based on the weather and the storms and different other things that are happening. And so every coastline looks different. And so even though there are patterns in the world, things are still different. And I think that's something to also remember together with principles. That yes, there are patterns, but laws change. Different things happen. We've spoken about this before in earlier chapters, that you're not going to be able to always have your principles work 100% of the time. You're going to want to have something that can adapt and change based on these different things that are happening. So yes, you are going to have economic crises coming over again and again and again. You're going to have certain storms. You're going to have bushfires, floods, all these different things. But each time there's going to be something different. There might be some new technology. There might be some new political laws. There might be some different things that are going to make it slightly different. It might be that the weather is more extreme this year. So there are all of these different things that we need to also take into consideration. Because if all principles were just one principle and never changed and didn't have to change because all the circumstances were all the same, then everybody would probably be doing a very similar thing, and we wouldn't have to worry about coming up with new solutions or new technologies for problems that we've already solved in the past. But yes, Things adapt, things change. By doing this, you will begin to understand how the machinery underlying any other one of those works and develop a mental map for dealing with it. As your understanding of these relationships grows, the essentials stand out from the blizzard of things coming at you. You will notice which one of those you are facing and instinctually apply the right principles to help you through it. Reality, in turn, will send you loud signals about how well your principles are working by rewarding or punishing you, so you will learn to fine-tune them accordingly. Having good principles for dealing with the realities we encounter is the most important driver of how well we handle them. I'm not saying that all people have the same encounters. It is certainly the case that different people in different parts of the world face different challenges. Some countries extremely rich and life is a lot easier. Some countries very, very poor, and you really have to struggle, and you have more of a primitive way of having to find your food and find everything that you need to survive your day. If you were to write down what type of encounter you have every time you have one, for example, the birth of a child, the loss of a job, a personal disagreement, and compile them in a list, it would probably total just a few hundred items, and only a few of them would be unique to you. You might want to try this. Not only will you see for yourself if what I'm saying is true, but you will also start to build a list of the things you need to think about and have principles for. Whatever success I've had is because of the principles I've followed and not because of anything unique about me. So anyone following these principles can expect to produce broadly similar results. That said, I don't want you to follow me or anyone's principles blindly. I suggest that you think all the principles available to you from different sources and put together a collection of your own that you can turn to whatever reality sends. Another one of those, your way. So I think this is very, very interesting because, yes, the world is very random and very different, but there are certain things that we're going to be doing over and over again. So when I came to my to-do list, what I did was I set my goals for what I want to achieve this week. I thought about some of the things that I might encounter, some of the things that might happen, some of the things that might change. And I thought about what I could do to prepare the day well. So I have a routine in the morning that I follow in order, it's like those principles. I have a routine in the morning, and that allows me to be able to deal with certain things that might come up. So for some people, that is checking their email first thing in the morning. I would probably advise against that because I think that checking your email first thing is something that could suck you in and keep you more busy for longer than you might think necessary. I started my day with some meditation, and I'm going to go for a walk, and I have different other things that I'm going to do. And I had my main focus. I have my needle moving tasks that I like to work on. So the day before, I think about what is the most important thing that I need to work on today, and then I'll do that as one of the first things in the morning. So we can, especially if you're a business owner or an investor, it can be very important to write down what you do every day and then start having a look at whether it's efficient, whether it's not efficient, whether it takes up too much time, whether it doesn't take too much time. And if you're thinking about everything in the shape of principles, in the shape of tasks that you're doing throughout the day, then you can start to work on what repeats. What can I delegate to somebody else? What can I do differently? What can I change? What's working, what's not working. So this is what this book is all about. And now that we've started a new chapter that's talking about principles, we're ending up talking about it again. Okay, here we go. Life principles and work principles are organized in outline form at 3 different levels, so you can skim along the surface or dive in depending on the amount of time and interest you have. 1. Higher level principles, which are also the chapter titles, are preceded by single numbers. 1.1. Mid-level principles are contained with each chapter and are designated by 2 numbers, one indicating the higher level principle it is under, and the other showing the order in which it appears in the chapter. A. Sub-principles fall under the mid-level principles and are marked with letters. All 3 levels of principles have explanations following them. To give you a quick overview, I've included summaries of principles at the end of life principles and the beginning of work principles. I suggest you start with the higher level principles and the text explaining them, plus the headings for both the principles and sub-principles. Life principles is intended to be read in its entirety, while work principle is meant more as a reference book. Part 2, life principles. 1. Embrace reality and deal with it. There is nothing more important than understanding how reality works and how to deal with it. The state of mind you bring to this process makes all the difference. I have found it helpful to think of my life as if it were a game in which each problem I face is a puzzle I need to solve. By solving the puzzle, I get a gem in the form of a principle that helps me avoid the same sort of problem in the future. Collecting these gems continually improves my decision making, so I'm able to ascend to higher and higher levels of play in which the game gets harder and the stakes become even greater. All sorts of emotions come to me while I'm playing, and those emotions can either help me or hurt me. If I can reconcile my emotions with my logic and only act when they are aligned, I make better decisions. Learning how reality works, visualizing the things I want to create, and then building them out is incredibly exciting to me. Stretching for big goals puts me in the position of failing and needing to learn and coming up with new inventions in order to move forward. I find it exhilarating being caught up in the feedback loop of rapid learning, just as a surfer loves riding a wave, even though it sometimes leads to crashes. Don't get me wrong, I'm still scared of the crashes, and I still find them painful. But I keep that pain in perspective, knowing that I will get through those setbacks and that most of my learnings will come from reflecting on them. That I think is very important. Taking everything that happens to you, I like to do it at the end of every day. At the end of every day, I'll write down, this is what my day was like. This is what I could have done better. This is what I learned today. This is what didn't go so well. This is what went really well. How do I maintain that and do more of those things that I did really well? How do I change those things that didn't do so well? Just as long-distance runners push through pain to experience the pleasure of runner's high, I have largely gotten past the pain of my mistake making and instead enjoy the pleasure that comes with learning from it. I believe that with practice, you can change your habits and experience the same mistake learner's high. 1.1, be a hyper-realist. Understanding, accepting, and working with reality is both practical and beautiful. I've become so much of a hyper-realist that I've learned to appreciate the beauty of all realities, even harsh ones, and I've come to despise impractical idealism. Don't get me wrong, I believe in making dreams happen. To me, there's nothing better in life than doing that. The pursuit of dreams is what gives life its flavor. My point is that people who create great things aren't idle dreamers. They are totally grounded in reality. Being hyper-realistic will help you choose your dreams wisely and then achieve them. I have found the following to be almost always true. A, dreams plus reality plus determination is a successful life. People who achieve success and drive progress deeply understand the cause and effect relationships that govern reality and have principles for using them to get what they want. The converse is also true. Idealists who are not well grounded in reality create problems, not progress. So I think that being realistic is very important, but I'm not always such a realist. I like to see things a little bit through rose-colored glasses to push me to do things that other people might say aren't going to be possible. I think if you are a super hyper realist, I don't think Ray Dalio could be a super hyper realist, because if he was, he wouldn't push towards all of his goals and dreams, because you'd be looking at reality way too much and not looking to bend reality. I used to have an uncle, and I used to want to jump and see if I could throw my pillow onto the cupboard. And I wasn't that tall when I was younger. So that was a little bit of a challenge. And he told me that I should just take the stool and stand on the stool and then put it up, and it'd be much easier. And I remember thinking to myself, if everybody was like my uncle, there'd be no Olympics, there'd be no world records, there'd be no Guinness World Records, there'd be no striving for better, because everybody would look for just the easiest way of doing things. And I used to love jumping up and seeing if I could throw the pillow up, and I got better and better at it. So I think that, yes, you want to be a realist. You want to be able to realize when things will and won't work out. And you want to be realistic about what might go wrong. But you also want to be a non-realist. You want to also be able to say, well, nobody's ever done this before, but I am going to show that I can do this. I'm going to find a way to do this, even though it's impossible. And that's what you get when you look for people like the Wright brothers, or you look for inventors that have created things that everybody else told them was impossible. So I find this one very interesting, but definitely I agree. Dreams and reality plus determination and a bit of non-reality are going to create a successful life. What does a successful life look like? We all have our deep-seated needs, so we each have to decide for ourselves what success is. I don't care whether you want to be a master of the universe, a couch potato, or anything else. I really don't. Some people want to change the world and others want to operate in simple harmony with it and save a life. Neither is better. Each of us needs to decide what we value most and choose the paths that we take to achieve it. Take a moment to reflect on where you are on the following scale, which illustrates an overly simplified choice you should think about. Where would you put yourself on it? There's an arrow on one side with save a life, and the other side make an impact. The question isn't just how much of each to go after, but how hard to work to get as much as possible. I wanted crazy amounts of each, was thrilled to work hard to get as much of them as possible, and found that they could largely be one and the same and mutually reinforcing. Over time, I learned that getting more out of life wasn't just a matter of working harder at it. It was much more a matter of working effectively, because working effectively would increase my capacity by hundreds of times. I don't care what you want or how hard you want to work for it. That's for you to decide. I'm just trying to pass along to you what has helped me to get the most out of each hour of time and each unit of effort. Most importantly, I've learned that there is no escaping the fact that, and that brings us to 1.2, and I need to slowly start going. Tomorrow we will read 1.2, which is a truth, or more precisely, an accurate understanding of reality is the essential foundation for any good outcome. So we'll talk about that one tomorrow. But I think that was already a really great start to the Monday. Lots of things to discuss. I think this section of the book, there is going to be more discussion, and I'll be sharing more of my thoughts, which I think hopefully is the part that you enjoy the most. So I hope you're ready for an amazing Monday. As I said, if there's anything that you're not sure of, if there's anything that you have a question about, anything that you disagree with or agree with or would like to let me know, you can let me know by going to Instagram and writing me at business_team_6_official. I am looking forward to getting to know more of you in person. So I love seeing your comments and I love seeing the little hearts and everything, but I'd love to get to know you as an individual, as a person, and who you are and what makes you tick and what makes you want to come and join us over here. So I am looking forward to hearing from you, and you can then let me know what questions you have. And if we like those questions and if we can come up with an answer, which I'm sure we can, and if it fits within the theme of investment and wealth creation and all of those wonderful things, passive income, then what we'll do is we will take those and create a video and come up with an answer and put that on the YouTube channel, which is called The Passive Cash Flow Club, which is also where you can find the rest of the recordings of principles for the earlier chapters, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and all the other books that we've already read. So I'm looking forward to putting together more content, answering your questions, and putting those up on YouTube for you as well. And we've already started the process. So make sure that you hit the subscribe button on YouTube on the Passive Cash Flow Club so that you know when those new videos are uploaded. Who knows? It might be your question. It might be somebody else's question, but it might be one that is extremely useful to you. Also, if you would like to be able to practice, and if you'd like to join our membership club of people who are going to work on their investment abilities and who are going to build their skills and who want to play a game that's going to show them and give them the ability to practice business, real estate, stock market, other paper assets, all of these different things that you can do to create an amazing life by following your own principles, by creating your own principles. You can come and join us at our cash flow game, our real life simulator. It is more realistic than anything you've ever seen. It is like Monopoly on steroids. If you'd like to come and join us, you can also reach out on Instagram and let me know. Business_team_6_official. I would love to get to know you there as well. And it is a great opportunity for you to be able to test new strategies, do things, and learn how to not just dip your toe in the pool, but if you already are investing, how to take it to a new level, how to set your goals a little bit better so that you know that every decision you make, every principle you create is going to have a purpose towards getting you closer to your goals. And that is my big vision for what I am doing this year. I was having a conversation with some people about it yesterday. Everybody that comes to cash flow, I want to be able to see them do better or get involved and actually start investing, and will help you get rid of some of that sabotage and some of the other challenges that you might have along with it. So I would love to hear from you on Instagram, business_team_6_official. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the YouTube channel, The Passive Cashflow Club. I'm going to leave you to have an absolutely amazing day. I am looking forward to a reading for you again tomorrow at 8 a.m. Sydney time. It is a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for joining this morning. And remember to make the switch to unlock your rich, because if you keep doing everything exactly the same way you've always done it, you will get the same result. If you make the switch, you can unlock your rich.